Hey everyone, Samantha McLean from Elite Agent Magazine, and welcome back to the latest episode of PM Transform, where the sun's out, the birds are chirping, and it is hard to believe that we're at the halfway point. So far, our teams have learned some great sales lessons, leadership lessons, worked on their team dynamics, and have been able to break down some strategies for growth in their businesses. While the week-to-week lessons have been going on in the background, the guys have all been having some private coaching by head coach Fiona Blayney and the Real Plus team, just to get them even more ready for growth and boost their results. And this week, Fiona is back in the Transform house, so to speak, to get the guys to really think hard about their processes, why they do what they do, and why it's important just to break things every once in a while. Here are some of the highlights.
I love breaking stuff. Love it. I've broken you, yeah. I think some people have probably felt a bit broken. It's kind of funny though, because when we do, you say that in jest, right? But when we do coach and mentor people and we go pretty hard with it because we want to see rapid change, I can tell you 9 out of 10 people will cry around the table with me. They will, because it's breaking thought, it's breaking feeling, it's breaking, everything that you've ever known to be your truth. Because what you brought to the table 5 weeks ago was what was your truth, and perhaps to you, some of the things that were your truth, they were actually hidden by your guise, if you like, as to what you thought you needed to be. What you thought you needed to expel into the world, what you thought was the done thing in the industry. I don't like the done thing. The done thing to me is boring, it's not sustainable, and it's not practical, especially in a marketplace and in a time in the world where we have to be not disrupting, throw that sentence out, but we need to be evolving, and we really haven't forced ourselves to evolve as an industry. And I thought the best way to demonstrate to you how passionate I am about the fact that we haven't evolved is to take you back to the very first moment in time where I started on this pathway in business consulting, training and coaching, unbeknownst even to myself at the time. And so that was at a time, in 2003, right? So 2003, August 2003, I'm doing my very first property management training session at the ARPM conference at that point, and it's 7:30 in the morning, the Monday morning after the cocktail party, right? So this is like prime speaker gig time, right? Like everybody wants to be there. I took to the stage and I did a session which was called the Coal Face Property Manager, right? It's called the Coal Face Property Manager. And I thought I was unbelievable because I was smart. Like this thing was going to be about time management. And I thought I was so funny that my walk-on music, they called it Sting, Dolly Parton, 9 to 5. And I'm like, I got this thing covered, right? Here's what my presentation was about. And this is literally the presentation. You can see the quality of the graphics there. The session was a success. This is kind of PowerPoint 101 back in the day, and this was kind of cool, would you believe? But, I was here talking to people about, tasks management, what influences your day, ideal week, ideal month, ideal days, getting that into your diary, monthly task planners, all this stuff. And, my job today isn't to pander to all of you, but this is all time management-esque stuff that still gets trained today. And it still gets trained today by people just like you, for people just like you, all over the country, right? And we do it, our trainers do it all the time, who have been in the industry. Some of those guys have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And we're still going back over this same kind of stuff, right? And it's evolution. And I suppose the question is, it's around how are we evolving? Like if you look at this, to me, and we provide this training because it's in demand, right? So we as a commercial organisation are meeting the demand for time management training. Can you come and develop and train our people on how to manage an ideal week, right? So we're supply-demand concept. But what's that evolution? around how have we broken the way that we do things if we're providing the same structural time management format training that I provided in 2003 and it's now 2016. Can you see the comic value in that? Like, don't get me wrong, we have to have, organisation and methodology in which to program our days and to be organised, etc. But it's then the evolution of what's contained in here. Like, even if you went through those lists, guys, of what tasks I perform as a property manager, you'll be blown away to see that you could probably take that preferred week, what we now call it, because we've evolved the name. How cool, right? But you could probably take that same ideal week that we did in 2003, give it to somebody in your office, and you'll find it won't have been all that different. What's evolved around this is the tech, okay? All that's evolved around it is the tech. So you'll see there, we used to use this thing called a follow-up folder, right? This was amazing, it was a 1 to 31 follow-up folder. Some of you have probably still got them, right? Yeah, I'm getting winks around the table. So, oh yeah, Blayney, we love that thing, right? Yeah, and so, and my point is not to embarrass anyone or to suggest that what you're doing, this is rubbish and you shouldn't do it. It's just to demonstrate that the processes, the concepts, the structure even of how you do things and how your business and how your roles and how your days are formatted are still heavily similar, if not the same, as how we did things in 2003, right? We had very cutting edge here. What technology can improve time management? Direct debit. Like, this was like, whoa, like, you were super cool if you had this form that someone filled out, this is my favorite. SMS and email. Whoa, you've got the rock end features there, yeah. And then my next favorite one, Palm Pilots and Pocket PCs. What are they, right? Like, so we used to have inspection apps, right, back in 2003, right? So, yeah, wow. And so this wasn't a phone, this was like this mini looking piece of tech that was for diary management, for email management. You couldn't phone anybody on it, it was just for that. You would come in, you would sync it onto your computer, and your computer would then sync the information, obviously, you've put in your calendar or put into your computer system, it'd sync. You could do your routine inspections on it. Their stuff was cutting edge. In 2003, right? If cutting edge technology in 2003 was an inspection software, right? What has happened in that time is the software has evolved. The technology has evolved, right? All of these businesses around us have evolved. The tech providers, the service providers, the industry providers, we should be like sending them flowers, right? Because they've helped us make our life easier. My question for you today is, what have we done as an industry to break how we fundamentally do things in an operational, organisational, self-driven method in order to make our own lives easier, rather than kind of like sitting back and saying, Rockend, this reporting, we need new reporting, it's got to be better, and then they release benchmark, or REA, we need to get through to people quicker, we want to make it easier for people to rent property, and then they release, different information and profiles and things for agents. Like, what have we done as a business to create a sustainable model for ourselves? I personally don't think we've done much. And, for those of you that have been in the industry like me, I've been in it since 1992, fundamentally what we do has not changed. Realistically, I can count, on, maybe one hand max, the things that have actually changed for us. Really, we don't put people in our cars anymore to take them to inspections. What else don't we do? Okay, we don't hand out keys. What else? We do open for inspections instead of just private appointments. But is that because of us, or is that because of tech now? This is the question I want you to constantly be asking. Is it a structural system change that we've made, that we've controlled, that we've strategically thought is being the best thing for ourselves and our business? Or is it a service, a system, a process, a tech, that, an industry provider that has stapled something onto the top of us? You know, they're three things, and you could probably apply the same three things to sales. We have a mobile phone so we can call people when we're out on the road. We didn't make the mobile phone. We didn't even know we needed one until they came along. I fundamentally today want to break your thinking around what have you done as a professional, as a business owner, as a business development manager, as a PM, whatever it is, your function is in the business. What have you fundamentally done to break how you do things to make life easier, better, faster, more engaging, and the biggest part about that is more sustainable, more enjoyable, and more profitable. And all of those obviously factoring into the consumer sentiment around what we do. That's really, you know, the whole crux of the breakage of property management. If we look at this from the business owner's perspective, right? And we've talked about this in our last session, and I think many of you have spoken about in terms of in your goals in your own personal sessions. What is it that the professional wants? That's you guys, right? So every single office in the country that we go into, every training session that we do can be mapped back to these four things. You know, some people want all four, some people want 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? And so they'll say, Fee, I want more time. You know, for many of the property managers that are doing work with your coach, you're saying time management, organisation, prioritisation. I need more time in our day. I want less stress. You know, I don't want to get as worked up. I don't want to be taking my stuff home with me. I want to be able to remove myself from the process. And then the business owner is saying, well, you know what? I need improved results. I need growth. I need profit. But the challenge is that to some extent, the consumer sentiment nowadays, which I talked about at ARPM in my presentation, the consumer sentiment is actually the other way. Because the consumer, sure, they understand you're a commercial business and they know that you need to make profit and they understand that you want to grow and they understand that everyone's got time constraints in their life because they too have the same challenges. You know, they too want more time, they too want less stress, they too want to make more money, right? In the main, that's why they've got a property in the first place. But equally, they're putting downward pressure on you guys. So I'm going to give everybody a quick exercise to do. I'm going to give you some rules. I need you to follow the rules. The rules are, you are to draw a car park. And when you draw this car park, it is to be a single level car park. Draw it. At least 75% of what I draw is relative to what you've drawn, okay? And I think you'll find you're all, having had a look at everybody, you're all pretty similar. Adriana, what I want you to do is I want you to double the number of car spaces. You are not allowed to go up and you are not allowed to go outside of the existing boundaries. So the point being here, right, is that you all drew this. Everyone's pages looked 75%, am I right? Yeah, guys at home? You all looked 75% the same car park. Why? Because that's the car park, thanks Jen. That's the car, is that the one, did you draw it like that? Let me see. Yeah, see, you've got a driveway with wasted space. So, because you've all drawn the same car park the same way since the very first time you drew a car park when you were 5 years old. If you went home and asked your children to draw a car park, do you think that they'd draw it pretty much like this red? They'd draw the red, right? Right? They wouldn't necessarily draw the green or the black, which means your thoughts about parking cars has not evolved past 5 years old. Right? You are programmed to draw the car park the way you've always known. To draw it like that, many of you looked at it originally and went, you're off your head, Blayney, I can't double cars in that. And then someone said, well, hang on a minute, yes you could do tandem, right? And then we said, and then pretty much 90% of you said, we cannot get any more cars in there, right? And then 10% of you said, well, yes you can just park some down here. It's breaking thinking. Now, this now must be the metaphor for your rent roll.